Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you very much for joining me here today for episode number 751. Today, I get to speak with Mamie Hertel. She is a newly elected national officer for the National FFA, coming out of Montana, the small town of Moore, Montana. And when she got elected, she was a student at Montana State University, which, as you can see right above my head, I am very proud of. So really cool to have her on the show. Excited to talk to her about what it's like to be a national officer and the journey to get there, and we'll get that started right now. Joining me today is Mamie Hertel, and she is coming to us. Well, actually, I don't know where you're at, Mamie, but I know you're a national FFA officer, and I'm thrilled to be able to speak with you. Congratulations on that this year.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm here in Indianapolis at the National FFA Center today. So.
Very cool. Well, I have been there, and that is a wonderful facility they have there. It's a really, really cool facility.
Yeah, it is. So much history, and it's an amazing place to be training-wise with all the staff here. Mm-hmm. I love all of them. It's a great learning environment, and just, like I said, a great piece of history to be around.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. If anybody ever finds themselves in Indianapolis, they should make their way there because just walking in, it's pretty phenomenal. Just all the history you're confronted with just right as you walk in, and then it's almost a museum in the lobby there.
Yeah, it is. The rotunda is just filled with all sorts of different FFA memorabilia, as well as quite a few stories, lots of pictures with past presidents from National FFA and the United States of America. And it's just a very cool circular kind of, when you walk in right away, you feel like you're just immersed in all of FFA and what it has been for so many years.
Absolutely. Well, I'm thrilled to be able to speak with you. I've interviewed a few national officers over the years, but generally I concentrate on students who are still in high school and they're doing something in entrepreneurship with their supervised agricultural experience. But when I saw that you had been elected as a national officer and you came from Montana and at least at the time were a Bobcat, were a Montana State University Bobcat, I got very excited. I'm a Bobcat. I graduated from there way back in the 90s with an animal science degree, so I was pretty excited about that.
Nice. Yeah, I was studying financial engineering at Montana State, and both of my parents actually graduated in the early 90s as well.
Okay, very good. Financial engineering, what is that?
Yeah, interesting question. That's what everyone always asks. It's a very unique major in the fact that there's no specific job, I guess, after you graduate that you could go into because it has a wide variety of areas that you study in. And so it gives you lots of options. And so I was working in economics, but also a lot of statistical analysis, as well as I took some computer science programming classes, all of the math, like a normal engineering student. So when I was at convention and got elected to national office, I was actually taking Calculus 3 and then had to cut that short because of my duties as a national officer. But yeah, that's kind of an overview of what a financial engineering major is. But my plan with it was to go on to law school and potentially go into agriculture law. And that's still the plan for me, but I'm not sure if I'm going to continue the financial engineering degree specifically.
Okay, interesting. I took a financial law class when I was at MSU. It was an elective I took,
nice.
I think, my senior year. It was interesting. I considered it for a while, then I realized how much work law school was, and I did something different. And but that's me as a student. That is not you as a student. Well,
hey,
go ahead, Mamie. Sorry.
So that's a fair assessment. I might, get there in a few years and question whether I want to go to law school. So we'll see, I guess.
Well, we'll see. You've got a lot of time to decide. Now, you said both of your parents went to MSU and graduated in the early 90s. What did they major in?
My mom majored in accounting and my dad in agriculture business. And so my dad went back to our family's farm and ranch, and my mom has actually had a few different jobs, but for the majority of my time in high school and growing up, she owned a business on Main Street of Lewistown, Montana, a retail store.
Okay, Lewistown. So I'm assuming that's where the family farm and ranch is?
Yeah, we're actually 10 miles south of Moore, and at the base of the Snowy Mountains is where our actual operation is, but we have some land scattered in Moccasin and north of Moore as well.
Okay, so if I was to describe to somebody where your ranch is at, if I said north central Montana, would that be a fair description?
Yeah, you could even say central Montana. I mean, we're pretty much smack dab right in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's true. Montana's such a big state. I think of Lewistown as far north, but you're sitting there going, no, it's still a long ways to Canada.
Yeah, Lewistown is actually the geographical center of the state. So if you go into one of the hotels in Lewistown, you can find a little tile that says, geographical center of Montana. So couldn't get more central than that.
Okay, so there you go. Very good. And so, what kind of animals are your family running on the ranch?
Yeah, so we have mainly Simmental, Angus, cattle, cow-calf operation, as well as we grow a lot of spring wheat, winter wheat, and barley. Do some custom cutting with the grain side of things as well as the haying side of things. So something to keep us busy all year round.
Yeah, a lot of farmers, they'll take that winter off if they're growing crops like grain, but not you guys. You're going to feed cows all winter.
Nope, yeah, we do. My dad is a very busy person, as well as my brother, who just graduated from Rocky Mountain College this past spring. He's back on our farm and ranch too.
Okay. Now, how long has this place been in your family?
I am fourth generation.
Oh, wow.
So a few years.
Yeah, I'll say. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that is great. So I mean, I could guess, but I won't do that. I love to ask my guests why they got involved in the FFA. So if you can go all the way back to when you first enrolled in your FFA chapter, why did you do that?
Yeah. So I graduated from Moore High School, and there's about 100 kids, kindergarten through senior year there. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, I grew up on a farm and ranch, and so I was obviously exposed to agriculture all throughout my childhood. And I guess when I got into 7th grade, I was taking shop classes because it was part of our schedule that was already decided for us. Mm-hmm. And I was interested in FFA because I thought it was a natural next step for me coming from a farm and ranch. And I guess I didn't realize until I walked into that first day of agriculture education that there was so much more for me to learn in that classroom and in FFA than I ever could have on our farm and ranch and just from my dad. Mm-hmm. And so that's been a really cool opportunity to combine both of my roles with all of the things that my dad has taught me about, hard work and entrepreneurship and really on-the-ground production agriculture, as well as FFA that's provided me with so many leadership opportunities and really developed my voice to be an advocate for agriculture. And so I'm very humbled to be able to say that I grew up on a farm and ranch and that it encouraged me into FFA, but it just has blossomed into something bigger than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah, very cool. Well, now, did you just have one FFA advisor along the way, or did you have more than one?
Yeah, just one FFA advisor, Joe Vanek. He was my FFA advisor all the way through my senior year, and he's still at Moore and is still the chapter advisor today. So he's a very wonderful person, and I'm very thankful for everything that he's done for me in this journey.
All right. And is the name of your high school that you went to, is it Moore High School?
Yes, Moore. Okay. Population 300.
Awesome. Yeah, I love Montana. Love Montana. Very cool. I'm down in Idaho now, but I definitely miss it up there. Although Idaho's great as well.
Yeah.
But there's something special about both places that you can't quite put your finger on.
I would definitely agree with that. I have goals to move back to Montana at some point in my life because that's where my heart is. That's where I want to live.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to take a quick moment, Mamie, and I want to talk about a couple great sponsors I've got here on the show. And we'll start off with our newest sponsor, and everybody, that is Lacrosse Footwear. We wear Lacrosse, my wife, my daughter, and I, here on our farm in Idaho, out feeding cows or doing whatever we need to do. We wear Lacrosse boots every single day, whether it's muddy, whether it's snowy, or whether it's summer and I'm out irrigating. We've got Lacrosse boots on our feet. And we researched for a long time to find the right boot for us, and actually found Lacrosse well before this sponsorship ever started. And now every day I wear the Alpha Range boots from Lacrosse, and I will tell you, they say they are built to work as hard as you, and they definitely do. Ideal for chores around the house, around the farm. They're waterproof, they're comfortable, available for both men and women. We've all got them, and they are absolutely fantastic boots. We hope you'll check them out at lacrossefootwear.com and slip a pair onto your feet as well. And then our other great sponsor, Powder River Livestock Handling, everybody. We've got Powder River right here on our farm panels, and our squeeze chute are both Powder River, designed to handle some of the most aggressive large livestock in the country out here in the West coming in off the range. And if they can handle those cattle, well, they can certainly handle yours. Check them out at powderriver.com and let your local farm and ranch retailer know that you would like to have Powder River in their sales yard so you can purchase that as well, everybody. Well, Mamie, I would assume, and I know that out there on your ranch, you've got to have good quality panels, good quality squeeze chutes, and good quality boots as well. Probably packs where you're at. The snow gets pretty deep.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I wish I would have known about those lacrosse boots about a month ago when I was trying to find my dad a Christmas present. My gosh, he's so hard to buy for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they do work good. My story with that sponsor is really a good one because I searched for a long, long time to find the right neoprene rubber boot that wouldn't break down, wouldn't develop leaks, and I finally found lacrosse and started buying them, and then the sponsorship happened a lot longer or a lot later after that. So it was pretty cool for me to be able to bring on a sponsor that I was already using and had already gone, wow, I finally found the right boot. And then,
yeah, for sure. That's so cool.
Yeah. When it comes to Powder River, I've known about them my whole life and have always admired them. And so that was an easy one for me, but it was really cool the way it all developed with lacrosse. But let's talk about your journey. So, I usually break into talking about supervised agricultural experiences at this point in the interview. But you have, being a national officer it's a phenomenal achievement. And I do 2 FFA interviews a week on this show, so my listeners are very, very familiar with what goes on in FFA and the officer positions all the way up from chapter to regional or section to state. And then here you are as a national officer. What has that journey been like for you?
Yeah. So when I started in 7th and 8th grade, I began creed speaking. And that was kind of the kickstart to my FFA journey. I absolutely fell in love with it. I was saying it when I went to bed, when I was in the shower, like you name it, I was saying the creed. And my freshman year came along, and I was so excited to compete at the state level, but I didn't make it out of our district event. Mm-hmm. That was kind of sad for me because I had been, spending the last 3 years of my life dedicated to creed speaking, and it was the only event that I was involved in, and I had to find something new. And so my advisor and some other chapter members introduced me to, things like farm business management, as well as extemporaneous speaking. And I started to see all the leadership opportunities in FFA. And that's just kind of where I found my place, especially in the leadership side of it. And I guess when everything really clicked for me and I decided that I wanted to, serve in whatever capacity that looked like, whether it be state office or just being a workshop facilitator in these events that National FFA provides with 212, 360, or State Officer Continuum. My moment for that was at Washington Leadership Conference. It just all came together for me, and I realized that this is something that I really care about. I'm very passionate about it, and I just want to continue in this. Mm-hmm. And so that was the summer of my sophomore year. And then going into my junior year, I was pretty sure that I wanted to run for state office, and I did my senior year, was fortunate enough to serve as the state secretary in Montana. And when I retired in March at our state convention, I was a little unsure of whether or not I wanted to run for that candidate position because each state is only allowed one candidate to run for national office. And I ended up putting my name in the hat for it. And I was chosen in May for that. And then I guess I just didn't really understand what all of it meant for a few weeks after. Then I started really evaluating, why do I want to serve and, why is being a national officer so important for me? And I guess the realization that I came to was that my heart for service was not just one for national office, and my message that I wanted to share was a lot deeper than just serving as a national officer. And so that's what I went into the interviews with the mindset of no matter what happens, I want to serve. And I was just thankful to get this position and serve in this capacity. But I am very convicted in my passion to serve others and the motto of there's more to it all. That's my life motto. That's something I want to share no matter what. And so I think that's just a great mindset to have in everything that you do, to be service oriented, and just know that in whatever position that is an opportunity to do that. So that's kind of my journey.
Very cool. Well, that is wonderful to hear about, and wonderful to hear about that happening from the small town of Moore, Montana. I mean, I would assume that there are a lot of proud people in your community.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, my grandma being my number one fan.
Very cool. And has there been another national officer from the state of Montana before?
Yeah, so I'm actually the 8th one since FFA started. And our last national officer was in 2009, 2010, Chase Rose. But I'm fortunate to be the first female ever chosen from Montana. So that's a pretty cool milestone to see in our state.
Very cool. Now, what is your official title as a national officer, your official position?
I am the Central Region Vice President.
Okay, Central Region VP. And so how does this change your life? You mentioned that you were in Calculus 3, and you kind of had to put that on pause when you became a national officer. So once this occurs to somebody, they become a national officer, what does the next year look like for you?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, had to pause the school part of it, which I love school, but I'm not sad about it. It'll be there in a year. So basically, we travel 100,000 miles across our nation, as well as we are actually traveling to Japan on Saturday to visit the SFJ chapters over there, experience international agriculture, as well as just experience the Japanese culture. And we also get to go to a place after we retire to be able, our team will get to choose that. But basically in those 100,000 miles in the States, we're going to conventions. We're going to conventions to deliver workshops and our keynote speeches that we've developed in December training, actually. And then we also get to go to places for FFA week in February. So I'll be going to Maryland and Delaware for that. We get to do a lot of sponsor visits. State Officer Summit in Washington, D.C. this summer. Just many different opportunities like that, a lot of leadership development and speaking events. So that's basically what the year kind of looks like.
Wow, very cool. Now, you said one key thing. When we were in the pre-interview, you talked about this, and once we started the show, you kind of talked about this a little bit as well. But you were all set. You were going to Montana State. You were there in Bozeman. You're studying financial engineering. You've got the plan. And then you become national officer, and now it's like more options have opened up for you. You may return to Bozeman and continue your education at Montana State, or you may go somewhere else. So when you become a national officer, how do the opportunities educationally open up for you? I guess what I'm asking is, if Montana State was the plan before, what has changed to where you're going, well, maybe not now?
Yeah, so one of the biggest reasons I chose Montana State was that I wanted to serve as a state officer. And serving as a state officer in Bozeman is usually the normal path that state officers take in our state. You get a scholarship to go there, as well as the state advisor is there and the state office is there. So it's just a lot easier to serve in Bozeman. But I always wanted to go out of state growing up. But it was just something that, if I wanted to run for state office, you got to go to Bozeman kind of thing. And I love Bozeman. Both of my parents went to it. And so it was a choice that I wanted to do. But now that I have these other opportunities with national office to maybe go somewhere else, I think I might branch out and do that just because like I said, I want to move back to Montana eventually, but I think that I want to experience somewhere else for a little while. So going somewhere else for college, I think, is a really good opportunity for that. I'm kind of contemplating maybe Oklahoma State or Texas A&M. Haven't reached out any solid plans for sure, but those two are kind of on my mind. Okay.
Now, the last time I interviewed a national officer, what they told me was once they became a national officer, all of a sudden there were offers coming into them from other colleges. Have you experienced anything like that? Any interest from any colleges?
I have not yet. I am planning on reaching out to a few places. They haven't reached out to any of us on our team yet, but we've heard rumors of certain universities that offer full-ride scholarships to national officers. We just haven't figured out what those are yet. It's pretty early on in the game to know about that, since we wouldn't be returning until spring of 2021. So we'll see. I'm hopeful that there will be opportunities that arise. And I am more than willing to look into those. So.
Okay. And Texas is on your list. Now, if you're not from Texas, or maybe even if you're not from Montana, from one of those two places, you probably don't know it. But what I found out when I was going to Montana State is there's actually a little bit of a rivalry between Texas and Montana, both because of the size of the two states, two of the biggest states in the Union geographically, but also because where do the real cowboys come from? Where do the real cattlemen come from? Do you know about this rivalry?
I didn't know about this rivalry, actually.
I didn't really know about it much either, but I went to a concert there in Bozeman while I was at school at the field house, and it was Mark Chestnut, who's from Texas, and everyone was having a great time. They were really enjoying the show. Then he said something about Texas pride, and he got some boos, and then he said something back, and it turned into a lighthearted kind of fun moment, but there was definitely a rivalry between Montana and Texas. I thought that was kind of funny.
Well, that is funny. I have a team coach here at National FFA that is from Texas, and he has been told by people who have lived in Texas as well as Montana that Montana is like Texas in the 80s when it was at its prime. So I'll just leave that there for that argument.
Well, you'll probably be finding out soon enough for yourself, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, very cool. Well, so before you became a national officer, you were looking forward to possibly law school. You were looking forward to this degree in financial engineering. And now that, and I know you're just a few months into this, but now that you have gotten into this role and it's opened up these doors, you're meeting people, your network is expanding. I mean, all these wonderful things are happening for you. Does it broaden your vision as to what you might do in the future, or does it maybe give you a further sense of mission? Like maybe I carry this platform forward to something even bigger than what I was thinking before.
Yeah, so I mentioned that one of the things that we do this year is that we get to visit a lot of sponsors of National FFA. Mm-hmm. And I think that those sponsorship visits, I mean, I can't say for sure, but I think I'm going to have a widened scope of what I want to do, or maybe find something that I'm really interested when I visit those sponsors. And throughout this year, just being exposed to different parts of the country, I might change my mind. But right now, I'm pretty sure in the agriculture law thing. But I think like I said, might switch my major. And I think that my major will probably be in agriculture communications. It was something that I was contemplating before I went to college, and then I found this financial engineering degree and thought it was so interesting and cool. Mm-hmm. But not every university offers it. And so I think that if I did transfer, I would probably be going into something along the lines of agriculture communication, ag leadership.
Very cool. Well, that is awesome. Well, Mamie, yeah. I know you're going to be speaking with just tons of FFA students over the next year, and you're going to have the opportunity to really mentor and guide a lot of students. While I've got the opportunity, I want to ask you, for another student out there who wants to make the most of their time in the FFA and they want to reach the same heights that you have reached, what advice would you have for them?
Well, if I could say one thing, hands down, I've said it before, but the most monumental experience in my FFA career was Washington Leadership Conference. I mean, I think that every single member should have the opportunity to attend that conference. It was just a very life-changing week for me, as cheesy as that sounds. I absolutely loved it, and it really changed my perspective on a lot of things in my life, in agriculture and out of agriculture, and leadership in general. And so I think that if you have the opportunity to do that, go for it. Something in Montana that I always wanted to go to but never did was our alumni leadership camp, and I know that's something common throughout other states, and so I would encourage you, don't put that off until your mm-hmm. senior year and then look back and regret not going to those camps and those leadership conferences, because they are the most fun that you can have, and you can get so much knowledge and wisdom out of them. I just can't tell you how much I have loved being a part of those. So if you're an FFA member, just really keep an eye out for all of those opportunities in leadership, because you won't regret it.
Awesome. Well, Mamie, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're very busy. I really appreciate you being part of the show. And, hey, congratulations. As a fellow Bobcat for now, very proud of what you've done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Well, thank you for joining us here today, everybody. Thank you to Mamie Hertel for coming on and sharing that great story with us. And as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.